An introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. In fact, we started this session wishing good morning, and we are now in the afternoon. And assure you, we'll end up wishing everybody afternoon itself, without eroding it much into the lunchtime and shortening lunchtime. As you know, pharma sector primarily is R&D driven. For any drug molecule to come into being for for any purpose, it primarily requires minimum 10 years on an average R&D efforts to come up with a new NCE, new chemical entity, which can graduate to drug level. It certainly involves lot of money to the extent of $2.6 billion on an average. And any molecule rather is one among tens and hundreds of thousands of molecules based on exploratory research, which is undertaken by the innovator pharma companies. In view of the fact that government policies are made in such a way which spurs R&D and makes the companies to spend so much of time and money in R&D and come out with the new drugs which are largely at large in the interest of the society. When we look at it, and this kind of things can be by providing protection through patents. It is imperative and desirable and essential that there has to be a policy of providing protection to R&D results through patents, which in return enables the pharma companies to make policies what's happening here? Which makes the companies to make policies as a result of which R&D is planned out and new research gets spurred. When we look at two sections of players in pharma sectors, innovators and generic players. As regards innovators, the R&D policies is based on the natural products as a lead molecule, and optimization and process development and exploratory research based on the lead molecule results into n number of molecules which are tried, and there is an opportunity, there is a chance that one may graduate to a drug molecule which gets regulatory approvals and is used in the market. Now, second, an innovator will certainly do the R&D only if he gets a backing of protection through IPR, in the form of patents. Now, as regards and second aspect, an innovator company can have policies to come out with the exploratory research is a molecular modeling, which we need not dwell much into that. Now we look at the generic players. In US market, company have a policy to study the exclusivity data of the Orange Book listed patents and patent scenario of the patent listed therein in the Orange Book, and accordingly make strategies, make plans to have their product portfolio. Once based on these studies, they have to make policies whether to file an ANDA under paragraph 3 or under paragraph 4. And IPR plays a major role in having such policies, whether to have an ANDA based on paragraph 3 or paragraph 4. Now, as regards, now, I don't know what's happening with the slides. No, as regards innovator companies, they rather have to be on the watch. It's a company policy to be on the watch, to rather have a close watch on the generic players in the same business scenario, having the same product portfolio, whether they are infringing or not infringing in respect of the process, in respect of the product. And that is done through claim mapping, which is a very essential element in IPR domain. When we say what are the protection key elements which are imperative, which are necessary in the form of policies, they must provide effective incentives for innovation necessary to spur future R&D, must provide innovators certainly regarding their rights, must offer patent holders strong enforcement tools for defending infringing tools. That is, infringement laws enacted by the specific jurisdiction, which provides protection, which if at all somebody is infringing, company can make policies of infringement only if the local laws permit them, like 3D, which is much talked about in India. Then we look at it, what are the, for generic players in particular, what are the key factors? A company has to make the strategies in respect of having their effective and strong drug patent portfolio. In Indian scenario, one of the factors is certainly are sections 3D, section 8 and section 84, based on which they have to plan it out in Indian market, whether they have to challenge any patent under section 3D, whether they have a provision or they have to ascertain whether there is a provision, there is a scope of challenging patent under section 8, whether there is a provision, there is a scope to challenge a patent under section 84 for compulsory licensing. These policies are all based on, are driven by the IPR. There have been certain case studies that patents of the drugs, process of the making drugs have been challenged, and companies had their policies accordingly. For instance, there is a very important case of aripiprazole in US, which belonged to Otsuka, and most of the companies like Teva, Sun Pharma from India, and Apotex from Canada, they have filed a paragraph. All those companies made their policies to file a paragraph because they studied that NCE patent, drug patent, is weak, as it was a derivative of a prior art, and the change from the prior art only substitution from ethoxy to chloro, which in principle, in accordance with the case at Taliflex Supreme Court ruling, is obvious. However, they proved wrong. The judgment which was delivered initially by the district court and which was upheld by the federal circuit was contrary to what teaching case at Taliflex gives, and the patent was held valid. Similarly, Otsuka Innovator Company had filed a patent, having known that they can protect it, and accordingly they had a policy of filing and going ahead with that. Similarly, generic companies, they made their policy to challenge the patent based on their IPR studies. Yes, it's a weak patent, but proved wrong. That's why litigation, though seems very simple, but proving it's simple is a very complex matter. So in India, there are some case studies which companies have made their strategies, their policies, and challenged patents, like erlotinib case in Roche and Cipla case, which has already been much talked about in the earlier sessions. Therefore, I need not dwell much into it. And eventually the Roche, it took much longer time for this case to come into being in favor of the innovator company Cipla. Second is sitagliptin case, which is a diabetic drug, and the case was with Merck versus Glenmark. This also because Glenmark had made the policies to challenge this patent, to make this product generic product and launch into the market, getting certain encouragement from the Roche and Cipla case, which initially was decided in favor of the generic company. That was probably the prime reason that Glenmark took this risk and launched it at risk. However, this they proved wrong, and eventually Merck got an injunction against Glenmark, and it proved that they are infringing it. And 3D, even though applicable for the species patent, which was not granted, which was abandoned, however, making a product as such does infringe the basic generic product patent.
So you have about 3 minutes left.
And similarly, there is a case in compulsory licensing. This Lexavar Bayer versus Natco, where compulsory licensing was granted because Natco had done in-depth studies, in-depth studies based on IPR, that there is a big scope that under the violation of the section 83, as a result of which they can certainly ask for compulsory licensure under section 84, and it was granted. Likewise, there can be a number of cases which can be rather discussed. One case is very recent one of a Sofosbuvir product. In this case also, there are pre-grant oppositions by 3-4 Indian generic companies which have been, which are ongoing. Innovator company realizing that patent is a weak and there is a scope, it can be invalidated. Therefore, they on their own gave voluntary license. They decided to have this policy to give the voluntary license. Likewise, I will just summarize this rest of the things without eroding much into and shortening this lunch time. Licensing is another factor, not compulsory. In licensing and out licensing,